All right, cool. Here we go. Um, Thanks for joining us, everybody. I know we have a lot of people here from SCP and WTT. It's been a great 10 weeks together, but we have our target race on Saturday for the Olympic distance racers and Sunday for the sprint distance racers. So tonight we have our SCP and WTT coaches, JD and Kimmy, here to talk us through the course. A lot of us were able to go up on sort of mid-April and we did our preview of the course, which I found really helpful for race day. But for those of you who either weren't able to make it or still have some questions about the course, this is your chance tonight. So will we go over some admin to start with? I thought I would just pull these up to start with. So this is what the sort of race day schedule looks like. So everyone's going to pick up their packets in the morning. So packet pickup starts at 6:30 at Granite Bay. The race announcements will start then as well, and the transition area also opens then. There isn't a lot more detail here. All it says is that the swim starts at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Normally they will close transition sort of about 15 to 20 minutes before the race starts because they want everybody out of transition and down towards the water. That obviously isn't here. My recommendation would be just get there in plenty of time, especially if this is your first triathlon, to pick up your packet, put the stickers on your bike, put the stickers on your helmet, put the number on your race belt, and just to sort of get yourself settled on race morning. So this is for Saturday, and I also have Sunday as well here. Timers are slightly different than Sunday. So on Sunday again, packet pickup starts at 6:30 a.m. That's when transition area opens and the race announcements begin then as well. So anyone who's racing the super sprint, I'm not sure if anybody is, that starts at 8 o'clock. And anyone who's just in the sprint distance, that starts at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. The vast majority of people I know are doing the Olympic distance, but we do have some people who sprint cheer you on Sunday morning. So let's talk about the swim. Unfortunately, there's no swim map, but the swim is in a lake. Emmy, you've done this race before. Do you want to talk about the swim?
Ooh, that was like 4 years ago. So I remember the water wasn't super cold like we're used to in AP, so that's definitely a bonus. There was a lot of the water was receded, so we had to do a lot of walking. I thought I read on the website that it's a 20-minute walk from transition to the swim start. So just try to get there early if you so you have plenty of time to make sure you're settled, get all your stuff settled, and also get your nerves settled as well too. Um, the water was clean. It was lake water. I didn't remember anything really traumatic because I would remember anything if it was, since swimming's not my thing. But yeah, nothing that I recall off the top of my head. JD, when you guys were down there, did you guys go to the actual where the swim start was going to be? It seems like they updated their website, so some of the details I looked at a while ago are no longer there.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, we're a little bit over, but it looked like it was a fairly short run-in. They say that water temp should be between 64 and 68. It was a lot colder when we were there, but I think Sophia looked it up and said it was currently at 66, although the weather is going to heat up quite a bit. So it's going to be a pleasant swim. I wouldn't stress over that if any of you are a little freaked out swimming in AP because it's cold. It's going to be upper 60s is my guess. When we were there, the big thing is it was fairly choppy, like a very, very choppy AP day type deal. The buoys were a little bit hard to see as well. It was a pretty sunny day, so this would definitely be a swim I'd have a couple pair of goggles for, just in general, a more polarized, so you can fight any glare that's there if it's a sunny day, or a clear or yellow if it's I think you can get some cloud cover in Granite Bay as well. So I would have a couple options just in case. But based on the forecast, I think it's going to be sunny. So I think you're going to be using your polarized goggles unless there's some fog cover in the morning, which I kind of doubt given the forecast on how hot it's going to be. But yeah, it looked like a pretty straightforward lake swim outside of it being pretty choppy that day. But you're the one that raced, Kimmy. So I think we just had a choppy day, and on race day, it's going to be smooth sailing. So
yeah, I pulled up the water temperature just now. It's 67 today. For comparison, AP right now is probably 54, 55. So it's going to be a lot warmer than any of the training swims that you've done in AP. I pulled this map up here. It's funny when, you know, this, I don't know if there's a date on when this was taken, but this is obviously the lake incredibly receded. I'd say that when we did the preview day, the shore of the lake was sort of up here where my cursor is. So there's a lot more water in the lake right now. The transition area is going to be around about here. As you can see, there is plenty of parking here, but to get into the Granite Bay sort of park area, there is a $12 charge. I think it used to be cash only, but we were able to pay with card when we went up for the preview day. But just be prepared for that on race day. I spoke to the race organizers, so it's going to be a mass start for each age group. I know a lot of races increasingly are moving towards a wave start. So that's where you get sort of 5 athletes every 5 seconds and they go in with a beep. That's not going to be what's going to happen on race day. And when we were up there for the preview day, the company that's running the race on Saturday was actually running a race that day. And they all started from the shore and they all ran in to the water. That's pretty common. Some races have in-water starts, but this one will probably be a run into the water. So all those run-ins AP that you've been practicing, both in SCP and WTT, are really going to be worth it.
it's a fairly short run-in if they're using the same course as a sprint, though, guys. So I wouldn't stress on the run-in. I would take a look at when the lake kind of tails off to know how much I can run in, but it was a fairly quick drop off of, you're not like running for like 50 meters into the water type deal. You kind of just dive in and go.
Ariana, I saw your question about what is the terrain like between the swim and transitioned area. On the preview day, it was sort of a bit sort of like gravelly stone beach. Let me confirm with them if they put any carpet down or anything like that. I know certain people, JD, have very delicate feet.
They did not, Craig. And the reason I know that is because I ran with rocks in my shoes.
Okay, all right. It tends to be bigger races, I know, that put down carpet. So yeah, I'd be prepared to maybe either grab a pair of flip-flops, grab a pair of old trainers. It's quite a short run. You know, if you're comparing this to Santa Cruz, we have to get out the water and, you know, across the road and along under that railway track. That's quite a gravelly run. And whenever I do that race at the start, I'm like, this is a great decision not to get any shoes. But then as I get further towards transition and my feet get drier, I can feel every stone underneath my feet. Whereas the transition here is quite short. So I imagine you would be okay going barefoot, but that is obviously a very personal choice.
Right. I do recommend having like some fresh water at your transition as well. Rinse off your feet.
Any questions about the swim from anyone? No? Okay, let's go on to the bike course. So let's pull up this bike course here.
So you definitely said with the walk, I'm sorry, this is Dana, I was on mute, but you definitely said you definitely said that the walk is going to be about 20 minutes. Come on, camera too. You said it's definitely going to be about 20-minute walk, and then we should have flip-flops. That's still acceptable?
I'm not sure. So obviously, Kimmy did the race 4 years ago. From the race that we saw when we went up and did the preview day, which was run by the same company, they had their so the race started here on the map, and the transition area was here. So it was quite short. My advice would be on race day is always just bring a pair of flip-flops.
Okay.
You know, especially that's what I love at the end of a race is not having to pull on like some trainers again, is to put on some flip-flops. So, you know, we'll have some cheering people there. We'll have a cheer station there. So if you don't have someone coming up to cheer for you, my husband will be there and he can grab everybody's flip-flops. It's your responsibility for getting them back after the race. But yeah, we can gather them all up for you if the walk looks longer than we expect.
Thank you. Thank you
Right.
very much. That's it.
All right, JD. We
have
did
one question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
So I know the swim map's not there, but Kimmy, is it laps or is it going to just be one big loop?
I think they said it was going to be like a triangle. So, yeah.
There's no mention here, Josh, of it being like 2 laps. So I imagine it says here triangular course. So I imagine it'll just be 1 lap.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's basically that sprint course and they just kind of supersize it out because it's a big lake.
Yep.
So I would assume based on what's here, it's 1 lap. But like I said, the hardest part of like people that were racing and even when we were trying to sight the buoys is it was white triangular buoys with sun in your face. So that was kind of the hardest part. So it's a good race. If there's some greenery around some of the buoys, it might be easier to sight like one of the trees that is right behind a buoy type deal than actually trying to find one of these buoys. So it's something to pay attention to when you're kind of looking at that swim course and during warm up.
Any other swim questions? Okay, let's go on to the bike. JD, do you want to take the bike since we did it a couple of weeks ago?
Okay. Overall, the bike, I would say the hardest part is the first half, a little over first half. It's going to be definitely a net uphill. It's a little windy and twisty with turns, at least initially. So the first part, the good part is you do have some turns, but they're fairly wide turns. You can settle on a pace. It's a good opportunity to, once your heart rate settles, to get some nutrition. There is a major climb. Well, I won't say major. For San Francisco standards, it's nothing major, but there is a climb. I mean, you're getting almost 1,500 feet of elevation gain. I think around here, if you get anything a little over half the elevation gain in terms of the distance, so 25 miles, anything over like 1,200, give or take, I would consider a moderately hilly course. And it all kind of comes on this one climb. So I think up until that climb, it's really one of those things. If you're using power, you're trying to time trial at sweet spot zone, keep it nice and steady. On that climb, I think the hardest part is kind of keeping that cadence up and heart rate in check, because especially if it gets hot, if I remember on that climb, it's not very shaded. So you definitely want to stay on top of your hydration, nutrition. The actual climb had some steep parts, so it might be kind of hard for some of you to be grabbing nutrition or hydration while you're climbing if your heart rate starts getting high. The good part is off that climb, that back half of that course is pretty fast. It's not a technical downhill per se. There's like a little bit of turn, but it's nothing like you're going down the backside of Hawk or Tam or anything like that. It's a fairly fast, straightforward descent. Off of that, the only other technical aspect of that back half is it's fast, but you do have a right-hand turn onto a little bit of a gravel road about mile 23, a little after mile 23, and you are going in the right direction when you see this gravel road. So there is a volunteer there from everything I've heard to tell you to slow down, but you do want to slow down before that right-hand turn. And then the last kilometer or so after that gravel part, we are hoping is paved. For those of you that were at the preview, we had a nice little cyclocross route, but I think part of where we were supposed to go was actually kind of flooded. So the repaving part of it, and then, we should be good. Craig did his research, and according to the race organization, we aren't going to be biking in for a full mile on a gravel road. So full road bikes, no mountain bikes for this course.
Yeah, for those of you who were there on the preview day, we had this weird right-hand turn and it turned into gravel, and we were also like, we're a bit lost. And then it was gravel from here all the way along here, and then you basically take a left turn and you're back into transition. So I emailed the race organizers over the weekend. They got back to me today. They said construction is due to finish this week. So they said they are going to email everyone who's registered for the race on Thursday. So I don't quite know what that means, if they're going to email and say construction is finished, or construction is not finished, be prepared for gravel, or construction is not finished, we're going to change the course. I don't know how they would change the course, but I'd say it's a very sort of standard bike ride for the sort of 24 miles. It's really just this last sort of mile to mile and a quarter. You have to sort of maybe have your wits about you in racing. I thought it was actually beautiful bike rides. You know, that part of the world, it's very hot, and I've never seen it as green as it was. Some really nice rollers. I compared it a bit to sort of Paradise Loop. You know, you're going uphill and then you don't realize you're going downhill, and suddenly you can sort of go down your gears and, you know, rest your legs for a second, maybe get a drink of water, and then you're back into an uphill again. So really use your gears and take a break when you can, because it's a very, very sort of rolly course.
Yeah, the only consideration on that is, you know, the last mile, I know, last kilometer, you kind of spin out your legs, maybe get the last little bit of nutrition in. If it is that gravel turn, I would get the nutrition in off that downhill of that last climb, so you're not like fumbling around, because it was fairly thick gravel. It wasn't like a paved fire road type deal, you know. So
it was a construction site. Yeah. Does anyone have questions for the Ollie bike course? I can pull up the sprint bike course. I don't know much about it, but I can pull up the map for it. But does anyone have questions about the Olympic distance bike course?
So how would you say the gravel in that gravel section compares to like the gravel when you're going onto the GGB from the upper parking lot, if that makes sense?
No, it's much thicker.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
But a road
You have
bike
to
will be
very
okay.
careful. Yeah,
Road bike
road
will-
bike.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a construction site, Max. Like, we were broken up into 3 groups, and the third group actually got turned around. They weren't actively building because it was a Saturday, but some guy came out and they're like, you can't be on here with bikes. And there was a lot of like heavy construction equipment. So it was there's a lot of sand, a lot of gravel, a lot of rocks. I would hope that if the construction isn't going to be finished, that at least the race company can work with the construction company, that they're maybe going to have like compacted gravel or compacted sand. You will be finding a road bike. I was on it with my road bike. But we just want everyone to sort of be prepare for the worst and hope for the best, I would say, on this part of the course.
Sounds good. And one other question on the walk, the 20-minute walk that you mentioned. So I assume that's just because you're saying 20-minute walk from the transition area to the swim entry. So I assume that means the swim entry and swim exit are not the same place. Is that?
No, so what happened was when I read the website a couple months ago, it said it was a 20-minute walk to the swim start, so make sure you get there early. Looks like they may have removed that from the website, so it may not be the case anymore. And especially if it's a triangular swim course based on the website, then the swim start and finish should be in the same area. So bring flip-flops just in case, but I think it's going to be same location for the swim start and exit.
Okay.
And let's just assume that they fixed the road. Would you recommend a TT bike or just a road bike for the course?
I don't know. What do you think, JD? There's a lot of rollers.
I think TT is faster. The only course that's borderline would be like an Alcatraz. I mean, it depends how comfortable you are. You know, the descent I was saying off that climb is not necessarily technical. So if you were gonna do what would be a comparable? I mean, you got to remember that for flat for us is like Nicasio, and then 56 miles, you're getting 3K of climbing. That's hillier per mile than what this course is, and probably more technical too. If I was racing, I would do a TT bike because I think it's faster. I think that the climb that you're gaining, the elevation gain on that climb, it's a pretty gradual climb. It doesn't get very steep. And there's a lot of pretty fast sections. The only time where it's like kind of borderline is where you make that right-hand turn onto this gravel. Yes, it's not like the Golden Gate Park where it's crushed nicely. It was a little thicker. But nowadays with the wider tires, just don't be in your aero bars trying to maneuver that part. Just get in your base bars and don't fiddle around and try to get nutrition. If you do that, I think a TT bike personally would be faster unless you're very much not comfortable handling it.
Okay.
Josh, I raced on my TT bike when I did it a few years ago.
Sounds good.
That's your
I
answer.
just have 23s
If I
on
can
there,
do
so
it, anyone can.
I'm worried about that gravel.
23. I had 20. I have an old school road bike. I had 23 on, and it was
It was fine.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
If I can find this sprint course. I looked at this on my phone. The sprint course isn't really making much sense because it seems very short to me. Kim, if you looked at this, is it loops for the sprint? It says it's a 4.2 mile bike course, which would imply to be it's maybe 3 loops.
Oh, there's your walk right there.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's chat about the walk. Okay. All right. I think from a look at this,
Maybe
if you're
look,
doing-
or
That's the
Craig,
super
it's a
sprint.
super sprint.
Yeah, that's a super
We're
sprint.
looking at super sprint.
well, I think this is both.
Yeah.
So by the looks of this, if the super sprint is 4.2 and the sprint is 12.6, it must be 3 loops of the super sprint course that you do for the sprint. So it is here, but it's not showing me it. It seems to be completely within the park. Yeah, okay, here we are. So this is our swim here. So if you're doing the sprint, it looks like this is your bike course here. So it's entirely within the park. This is part of the run route as well. So it looks, from the looks of this, you'll do 3 loops of this if you're doing the sprint on Sunday. So you don't need to worry about, primarily don't need to worry about the gravel. But it's not going to take you outside of the Granite Bay Park for the sprint course. Any other bike questions? No? Okay.
Oh, one other. Do they give nutrition out on the ride
No.
or water?
I don't think there's any aid stations on the bike course, just on the run.
Yeah, this would be if you're doing the Olympic, this would definitely be a 2-bottle type of ride, given how hot it's supposed to be. And you're gonna have to carry it, unfortunately.
One last point on the bike is that it can get windy out in that area, so just be aware of that. Heat and wind.
No.
Woo! It's Kona.
Okay. So here we have the run course. The good news about the run course is that the preview day, I couldn't find it. So it's going to be new to me as well. So we're going to come out the water here. This is what I find confusing about the transition area being a 20-minute walk away, because we go into the water here and we come out the water here. I'm going to ask for the transition areas, give me a dropped pin for race day. So if you are doing the Olympic, prepare to go sort of further further out, and then we're coming back down here. I'm going to pass on some arenas here. This is mainly on trail. Kimmy, do you want to talk about it since you've ran this run course?
Oh, you guys didn't do it for preview day?
Couldn't find it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it was not a really wide trail. There were some parts that I know were single track, but it wasn't as it was rolly, maybe rolly hills, but nothing so steep. It was well packed in, and I want to say that it was mostly shaded, but not like a deep shade. So just be prepared, wear sunblock and a hat for sure. But it wasn't completely out in the open either. So that was refreshing. It's out and back, so you are going to be having runners coming at you. You're going to have to give way or take your way. And I don't know. I think that's all I have for that.
Yeah, from what I was able to kind of preview, it seemed it was most technical at the start. It was fairly narrow. You kind of go through a parking lot, and then you get on that main trail, and that's kind of where it opens up a little bit. But it's definitely majority trail. The only time you're on pavement is kind of running through essentially kind of parking lots. I know some people have asked of like what shoes I would potentially wear. I don't think the single track is very technical. So if you had racers that were like carbon plated racers, I would imagine they're the fastest option, unless they're very much not stable. I think your fastest road shoes would also be your fastest on this course. The run, yeah, like Kimmy said, it seemed decently shaded, but it's supposed to be pretty hot. I think if they have ice, Craig looked it up, it said Fluid for Nutrition, which is a pretty neutral electrolyte drink. But if they have any ice, I don't think it's a bad idea to potentially put it on your chest, or if you're wearing a hat, to put in your hat. I don't really put any ice or water lower half, just because you run into some issues with potentially blisters getting your feet wet. But some people like just splashing everything, like put all cool liquids on me. So whatever that preference is, I think, with the forecast, whatever you need to do to keep your core temp warm, cool is going to be pretty important for this. And I think it's, you got to set yourself up for success on the bike, staying hydrated for sure. Because if you come to that run at any point and you're like, oh, I'm kind of thirsty, you're just going to be kind of doing damage control. So, but yeah, seemed like a fun run. Kind of choose your own destiny around the park.
Yeah. It says here.
Arisa. Oh, sorry, Craig, go ahead.
On you go, Kimmy. I saw Arisa's question.
Yeah, so Arisa, it is much easier than Lake San Antonio. Lake San Antonio is very technical with a lot of steep parts to it, both steep on the uphill and steep on the downhill. So this one was much more manageable, much more reasonable than Lake San Antonio. And Angie, I don't remember any ice being on there. I only remember 2 aid stations. And I believe I back then I think it was just water, but they could have had electrolytes, but I skipped it.
It says here the aid stations are miles 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the run course, and they'll have water, hammer, energy gels, and the fluid electrolyte beverage that JD mentioned. Any questions about the run for the Olympic distance?
And we're gonna run, not power hike it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So
What you can say, Kimmy?
smaller races on the aid stations, just be prepared for them not having what you need. They've like with all the little small races we've done from Napa to Santa Cruz is actually okay, but some of these other races, like they barely had any volunteers. So, they were, filling cups as they were handing them out, and it was hot. So, just try to tank up as much as you can on the bike would be my recommendation. and just power through the run if they don't have the supplies that you need.
And always thank your volunteers when you grab
Always.
something from them. Always thank your volunteers. Always try and get your cup in the trash can. Doesn't always hit the trash can, but I always try my best. So let me pull up this. Seems there's two different run courses so the super sprint is here. And sprint is not there, unfortunately. So the run for the super sprint, this is just 2 miles. I imagine it'll be pretty similar for the sprint, very similar. This course should be hopefully very well marked with either volunteers or arrows. As I said, we sort of struggled to find it on race day. I ended up at this parking lot and just did loops around the parking lot to try and up my mileage. But I think there are some trails in here or here that'll take you further down. So I'm hoping it's all very well marked on race day. Just follow the person in front of you. Hopefully they know where they're going. That's terrible advice. Try and find the course.
It was pretty well marked, Craig, when I was.
Okay.
But there was some single track, so I'm not surprised you didn't find it.
Okay. Yeah. I am just going to pull up the weather and I'll translate it to Fahrenheit for everybody because this is what normally works for me. But there you go. So here we are on Sunday. So, it's up to sort of 70 degrees by 11 a.m. Thankfully, we're getting 8 a.m. start on race day. The vast majority of you should be finished between about 11 and 12 before it starts to get super toasty in the afternoon. But be prepared for it to be potentially warmer than this on Sunday. It'll be nice chilling out by the lake afterwards. For anyone who hasn't been to the beautiful Granite Bay before, and you're bringing, I imagine we'll have our sort of cheer station here because we're able to see the swim start and hopefully people going out on the bike, back in on the bike, and also the run finishes here as well. And here you have Anchored Eats, which does some great chicken tenders that I had after our preview day. They do chicken tenders, they do coffee. It's not particularly fancy, but if you're bringing friends or family, or you just want a very quick bite after the race, that's right next to the transition area. It seems it opens around about probably 11 o'clock on Saturday morning.
You just showed the weather for Sunday. You didn't show Saturday.
Joust.
That's because everyone's gonna switch to the
Sorry.
sprint.
I'm so used to
Saturday.
I'm so used to. I keep thinking this race is on Sunday. Okay,
Maybe
Here
it's
we go.
because of the Fahrenheit. That's what messed you up.
that is exactly what messed me up. I need metric time as well. Okay, so we are slightly toastier on Saturday. We're 78, but I don't know what that is. By 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. And it's going to be getting warmer as the afternoon goes on. So if you want a reason to finish fast, I'm going to have to translate this. I'm sorry. Oh, geez, 26. Holy smokes. That's really hot. All right, I definitely want to finish by 11 o'clock. Okay, I'll put it back for you. There you go. There's Fahrenheit again. Only my job depends on temperatures. Okay. I think I've showed you enough screen stuff, the correct and the incorrect stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. Any other questions? Swim, bike, run, transition, nutrition, temperature. If you got your questions, you got your two coaches here, so please feel free to ask them.
Yeah, I have a question. So I will say I'm strongly tempted to not wear the wetsuit. I think you've advised against that in the past, JD, but curious for your take.
I just think you're a lot faster with the wetsuit. So it's, the morning is, as long as that water temp doesn't go over 70, it's going to be a warmer swim. But I think you being a little bit hotter in the water versus the speed you'll lose without a wetsuit is not worth it, in my opinion.
Okay.
If we're talking like, you know, it's closer to 78 cutoff type deal, that's pretty toasty. But as long as it's under 70, you know, I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
I have a question, very, very important that I put in the captain's channel earlier. Where are we post partying?
It's
I
over
know.
the whole lake. We got you know, a super yacht coming down on Folsom Lake. So
That would be awesome. Boat rental?
Possibly. I haven't arranged anything yet, Ariane. Let me have to think about it. And I'll post somewhere in both the WTT and SCP channels. It always ends up a bit better at the end of the race, like herding cats, because your people are going to come in at like, you know, 2.5 hours, people at 3 hours, people at 4 hours. But if we can create a spot where people could go afterwards, that'd be great.
By
My
the way,
hotel
they
has
do give awards for 1st through 5th, so make sure you stick around.
Yep.
My hotel has a pool, so you guys are invited.
Kimmy here, a couple of questions from one of your athletes. Caroline's asking about recommendations on nutrition this week. If you're taking the temperature into account.
Well, I mean, of course, you're gonna need your carbs to help carb load for the weekend. But I mean, we don't need to start right now per se. Thursday, Friday, definitely make sure that you are well hydrated. I'd actually avoid any alcohol that can dehydrate you over this week, especially for the temperature is going to be that hot. Dana, I think, asked about potassium, magnesium. Wouldn't hurt to start supplementing with electrolytes as well too. Make sure you have enough fuel in the tank as far as like fluids are concerned before we hit the race day.
yeah, I mean, you don't want to load up too much on all. You can get, obviously, if you load up on electrolytes, store a little bit more water. But the trade off on that is you kind of can feel a little bloated, and it can kind of mess with your just overall stomach and like GI happiness as well. So it's kind of a delicate balance. I tend not to like to do too many things that changes that you haven't tried before, so you just don't know how you handle it. A little extra salty food, I think you're fine. And a normal American diet, you have quite a lot of sodium. It's more the consideration, you know, I would say like the day or two before, it wouldn't be a bad idea to, instead of sipping on water, for example, that dilutes some of the electrolytes, to just sip on your, you know, an electrolyte drink or put a noon tab for the couple days leading up. That would be my suggestion, because it's kind of a small thing, but it can kind of help a little bit versus, you know, I mean, some people do play around with loading up on electrolytes, but it can be a little bit risky, in my opinion, because you don't know how your body handles it. And next thing you know, you added about 5 pounds of water weight and you don't feel particularly, you know, fit on race day. So that's kind of the only thing. During the race, I think it's definitely a consideration as well. Normally with Olympic, you don't need to worry about electrolytes as much, but if it's going to go to about 90, you know, you're looking at at least bare minimum would be 250 milligrams an hour, and it'd be closer to probably, you know, 500. I do know some people that supplement closer to 1,000. I mean, your precision fuels are about 1,000, and that's fairly common fuel source for a lot of triathletes these days. But you know, I think tried and true, whatever you've tried in training, that's your go-to, and then add a little bit of supplementation the days leading up, and maybe not exclusively have water if that's something that you normally do.
And definitely don't do it if you haven't been taking, like if you haven't been taking magnesium before, it's not a time to really start doing it because magnesium can cause diarrhea. So we don't want that on race day.
Don't watch a movie and start chewing noon tablets instead of popcorn. Bad idea.
All right.
We look through. We good.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, it's been really helpful, guys. Thank you for your time. I've never done this race before. I'm looking forward to it. It was great going up on preview day, but it's also great having a refresher of it tonight and sort of having some questions answered, because I know we have a lot of sort of first time triathletes as well. So yeah, good luck, everyone. I will see all of you either on Saturday or on Sunday.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks for organizing.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, good luck, everyone.
Have a great race. I'll be there.
Bye.
Bye.